Sweet, so we're here to talk a little bit about home buying and real estate in general. So my broker's Greg Koch, he's a fraternity brother. I myself am a alpha beta here. And I guess it was given to me a couple weeks ago and part of M.A.R.S. is they're saying, well, talk about real estate. So in thinking about real estate and how I guess I got into real estate, what I'm looking to do is if you guys have questions, just kind of raise your hand. I've got two real parts to the actual presentation. First one is a set of slides here. We got 19 slides. Kind of give you an overview of how I got into real estate. I used to be a buyer at Macy's right out of school here. Used to be an executive intern at Famous Bar as an intern. We had some speakers come through Deltasig, scored the job, scored the internship, and then got laid off in May of '08. So kind of talk a little bit about that and how I transitioned into real estate. It's kind of like the gold bug. You guys heard of the gold bug? Start investing in gold, you get hooked on gold. Same thing in real estate. Start looking at real estate, you just get hooked on it if you really love it. So I'll talk a little bit about that, and then another big thing that's going on right now is foreclosures and short sales and stuff like that. So I have a whole separate presentation here that I did for Florissant up in St. Louis. They had a different type of community thing going on, so I had to give a presentation there. Funny story though, no one actually showed up, so we didn't even do the presentation. But I made the whole slide, so we're gonna run through it. I talk really fast always, so if you don't understand, just raise your hand. If not, we'll have it on YouTube also. So. Cool. So I went to Mizzou, like I said, did the Macy's thing for a while, which was awesome. Sometime around, I guess it was around the summer of '07, I started looking at buying my first house at 3650 Arsenal, right across from a park. It's beautiful. It's this awesome house. Summer of '07, people were still wheeling and dealing. You could flip houses, you could buy a house, sit on it for 6 to 8 months, and actually turn around and sell it for a profit without literally doing anything to it. Downtown St. Louis, where I used to work, the old it's actually the Railway Exchange building. Directly north of it is the old Dillard's building, right off Washington, and it's close to like Washington Broadway area. And well, basically what they were doing at the time was they were tearing out the whole Dillard's building and they were making it into condos. Well, people that were in my office and other individuals around St. Louis were buying 2 or 3 units in the thoughts that they were going to flip them. Well, the problem was the whole development was people buying 2 or 3 units, so it had a fake demand for it, if you want to put it that way. So all these people are looking to buy it, and let's say 20% was sold. Well, of that 20%, only about 4% of people are actually going to live there. Well, guess what happened when the market dropped? The whole thing went in foreclosure. Because everybody put down, let's say 3 to 5%. Well, 3 to 5% of $100,000 seems like a lot. 3 to 5,000, multiply by 5 homes, you got $20,000, right? Well, a $20,000 investment could have made you hundreds of thousands of dollars once you flipped it. But most of your out is 20. Well, those people all lost their money. The development was never finished. So started looking at that house right there and actually click on it for the links didn't transfer correctly. It would need a lot of work. So didn't get that house. I put in an offer, real low offer. So if you're ever going to do real estate, you got to say, what's the house worth to me? It doesn't matter how much that house is going to sell for in the future. If you can only get a loan for $150,000, that house could be worth $300,000 after you fixed it, but you buy it for $100,000. Well, if I get a $150,000 loan, bought it for $100,000, I get $50,000 I can work with if I get a construction loan. But if it needs $200,000 worth of work, or it needs $80,000 worth of work, the house isn't for you. So I put in a low offer. It sold for $127,000. It was listed at like $125,000. I don't remember what I put an offer in for. Let's say $100,000, but it was not accepted. So I went to this house, 1317 Shenandoah. Anyone that's from St. Louis or has ever been to St. Louis, we have Soulard. It's Germantown. It's awesome. It's right next to the brewery, and I love Soulard also. This is actually a 3-story building. It's very close to McGurk's. It's on the southwest corner of where that would be, off Shenandoah. And my office, actually my real estate office now, is right down the street from it. Beautiful house. 3-story house. It was all almost perfect inside. I'd love to show you the pictures, but I can't do it on here. But you can actually go to Zillow and see them still. So it had a 3rd-story roof that you could go up there, you could see the whole skyline, you could see the fireworks. It was spectacular. Going for $165,000. Well, my cap was somewhere around $150,000 when I was working at Macy's for my pre-approval letter, which is what you need to get from a bank. Pre-approval letter just says that yes, you can get funds up to this amount. Now, banks love to give you money. If you make $40,000 a year, they'll give you a pre-approval of $150,000. Do you really want to make a mortgage payment of what that's going to entail? Mortgage, taxes, and insurance, PMI, which is private mortgage insurance. So you got insurance for your house, but they also need insurance for the loan. All these banks that are losing their tails in these foreclosures, they already made their money. Especially if if the people have lived in a house for 3 to 5 years, you pay almost 99% interest on those first couple of years. They already made money. So, and these are the people that are not servicing the loan, they actually own the loan. So not only have they made money, but they also have insurance or PMI. So you think about all these banks losing money, it is absolutely not 100% true on how they pitch it to you, the media. So long story short, put in an offer somewhere around like 120, did not take it. When the whole house went into foreclosure, this is before we had short sales because nobody knew what was going on back in '07. So it went to foreclosure, sold at auction for $90,000. I was mad, right? I put a $120,000 offer. So I actually took off work at Macy's that day just to see the house go to auction because it was such an awesome house. Huge, had a spiral staircase, metal one in the middle of the kitchen, going up to the second story. It was amazing. So after I got laid off, I decided to go to grad school full time. It was a great decision. The state of Missouri gave me $10,000 to go get 2 masters out of Webster University, which was awesome. Finished up Webster, and I was like, what am I going to do? About the same time I got laid off, the state of Missouri gave us all, it was the government, gave me a $600 tax credit. So if you ever get money, the best thing to do is invest in yourself. So I went out and got a real estate license. And there's a long story about why I did it, but basically, when I got laid off, some woman from the outplacement service company is a politician in Oakville, where I live in South County. And she's like, well, why don't you get your real estate license? I was like, I don't know, why not? So I just did it, didn't do anything with it for a year. And she's like, well, you know, maybe someone would buy a house. No one bought a house. And I didn't know what I was doing, so that's a good thing. So sometime after I graduated, I met a fraternity broker, Greg Koch, and he came up to me, he's like, so you're not doing any business? I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Had no training, just basically got a license. You get a license for about $600. You can do it for less, but it takes about $600 to do it right. So once I went in and got the license, I partnered with Greg Koch, and I really started learning what I was doing. And that's when I actually started learning how the broker system works. So like I said, there's a lot of different angles to real estate. So I'll tell you a little bit about how brokerages work. Not necessarily RE/MAX, but how RE/MAX, Coldwell Banker, Keller Williams, any big national franchise brokerage. So you have what's called a commission. I work 100% commission. I don't get paid unless I sell a house. Once I sell a house, typically it's a 5 or 6% commission on the sales side. I get about half of that. So let's say I get 3%. Of that 3%, RE/MAX, in my particular case, RE/MAX gets 5% right off the top. Coldwell Banker, Keller Williams, Realty Execs, all the different names out there, they have different setups. Okay? So once that happens, then 5% goes to RE/MAX. Well, now my broker, Greg Koch, who's a fraternity brother, he wants a piece of the action too because I get to use his office. He takes all the risk. He takes, if I mess up, he technically owns my business. I work underneath him. There's a brokerage, which is a type of license in Missouri, and I work below him as a salesperson. There's always different professional licenses in the state of Missouri you have to have. So after 2 years, which I've been a realtor for 3 years, I could actually go out and become certified as a broker. I don't know if I want to do that or not. There's some advantages, some disadvantages. But I could actually own my own brokerage too once I did that and get away from RE/MAX. So long story short, out of that 3%, about 5% goes to, of that 3%, call it $100,000, $3,000. 5% of that's going to go to RE/MAX. After that, it's about 50-50 split between me and my broker. So if it's a $3,000 paycheck, 5%, let's say we're down to what, $1,800? Maybe I bank maybe about $1,400. Between $1,400 and $1,800 based on that, which is pretty darn good. You can sell 4 or 5 of those houses a month, which back in the good day, people were selling 10 to 12 of those houses a month. So 10 to 12 grand like that, and that's only a $100,000 house. The average home in this country is $166,000, which is not really realistic because you got too many extremes. But in St. Louis, first-time home buyer today is spending between $100,000 and $120,000 to $150,000. So it's pretty good. Now the second-time home buyer, which we won't get into all this because there's a lot of detail with it, but those second-time home buyers are the ones that already bought the house and they bought it in the market peak. So whenever it's going to happen is those houses are going to go down in value, and they did. And if they drop $20,000 or $30,000, those people are underwater 20, 30 grand. In order for them to sell, they have 2 options: do a short sale, which is selling short on what they owe on the mortgage and have the bank take the loss. They can only do that if they're in a dire situation, a loss of job, medical issue. Most people just don't have equity in their house anymore. So those people don't, unless they bring $20,000 or $30,000 to the table, which most people do not have in their bank account in this country, they can't move. So all the houses that are in the $200,000 to $300,000 to $400,000 range, which is a second-time home buyer or third-time home buyer, none of those are moving because the second-time home buyer can't become that third-time home buyer. And what the reason for that is because you and I, the first-time home buyers out there, we're not going in there and buying those houses from people. We're going out buying foreclosures and short sales because it's cheaper and a better deal. That's what we need to do also. So that's kind of a little bit of history on that. So whenever you join the real estate or get a real estate license, you don't have to become a realtor. A realtor is actually exclusive of the real estate license. I joined the St. Louis Association of Realtor. These are all the different ones in just the state of Missouri alone. Most of these websites here all have different what's called MLS systems, multiple listing services. So if you called me up and said, Chris, I want to buy a house in Columbia, I'm going to be here for X number of years, or I'm going to go to grad school here, I got friends that are going to be here, whatever this case is, I'd say, I can't help you. Which is kind of a bummer because my license works for the whole state of Missouri, right? Well, I'd have to go here, find the COMO, Board of Realty, and have to refer you to somebody. for two reasons. One, I don't know the market, so I shouldn't really be working with you. I have a fiduciary responsibility to actually understand what it is I'm doing, and locally I don't here. So you have all these different ones. Now what they're trying to do, which would be excellent, is actually merge all these together. Lake the Ozarks around here is the best, most prime real estate, right, for vacation homes. It's very lucrative to get in down there. I don't have a clue how to do it because I don't have access. I cannot see their MLS. I'm pulled out. And I pay $60 every 3 months for my current MLS. I'd be more than happy to give them $60 every couple months to be able to access their MLS. I cannot do that. So, it's a little bit other random details. So, one of the things, I love telling stories. So, this is a story that was on News Channel 5. I could click the website and show you, but we won't go through all that. It was a story that I saw randomly on the news about a condo that burnt down in St. Charles County in Darien Prairie. So I called up the city mayor of Darien Prairie and I said, what's going on with this? I'm a full-time realtor. I know people in the business. How can I help? Long story short, I was going to buy this property for $1 off the city because the mortgage company, whoever had the lien on it, I think it was Wells Fargo, dropped the whole mortgage. It was like a $200,000 house. They just got rid of it. What ended up happening was, like Dal was saying, you always want to have insurance on your stuff. On condos, you need to have insurance on the building, on the inside and the outside. The condo association did not have insurance on the outside of the building. The homeowner thought the condo association did, so they didn't have insurance on it. Nobody had insurance on the building. It's $80,000, $90,000 to fix this with profit built in. So long story short, a guy came in around the back end on the insurance side and stole the deal out from under me. I was extremely mad, but got me partnered with a couple other partners that do real estate, that do construction, and it really just kind of made me more motivated to get back into real estate because you can turn a house like this that's literally 2 or 3 years old and it's an eyesore. This house, basically it's the house next to it's literally for sale. So it's attached condo unit, and once burnt down, no one's going to buy the one next to it at all. So I got into real estate, worked for RE/MAX Gold, which is one of the brokerages in St. Louis. I sell a whole bunch of different listings. One of the things I just started doing is international listings. It's really exciting. If anybody here is doing international business, you can do promoting of international listings. I've got a $7.7 million hotel listing right now. If I get 2% of that, that's huge. I mean, that's like just tons of money, which I'm not doing anything. I'm paying $20 a month to promote it. And right now, this country, we have the best technology to go out there and promote international business. So it's very advantageous to be into the game. So other things that I think are important with real estate that I'll just touch on, and how I got into the business and what I think real estate is today. So when people come to me and they say, I want to buy a house, I go, what do you want to buy a house? I don't know. I don't want to live in this part of I don't want to live in North County. I don't live in South County. West County people are this, and the city is this. Okay, what do you like? You know, it's really hard to be a realtor because everything's supposed to be prejudiced, but I'm not supposed to be prejudiced at all. Because what you may think is really subjective. So, in the city of St. Louis, we've got a lot of problems with schools, right? So we can talk factual things. The schools are unaccredited in the whole city of St. Louis. This is a whole school district. I firmly believe, because I teach junior achievement at 5th and 6th grade in high school, there's no way in God's green earth that that city could manage the whole school district with that geographic size. It's too big. So that being said, you have a lot of municipalities too. You guys know what municipalities are: small cities, townships, villages. And in the north side, where we have a lot of flight through people, you have a whole lot more municipalities, which means all that tax money is divided up into more management, more administration. Or on the south side, on the west side, you have less municipalities. So we're not seeing as much of that tax money going to so many mayors and so many police captains and stuff like that. So I think, personally, we see a lot of waste on the north side. But here, these are all based on school districts. And on the west side, you see Rockwood Summit Parkway. You got Melville, Lindbergh down south. You got Hazelwood up north, which is part of where Florissant is. Top left is St. Charles County. So people say, well, I want to live in a certain area. I want to live close to Highway 40, which Highway 40 cuts up through here. Lake St. Louis is up there. And then you got Highway 270, which kind of cuts around through here. People know where things are based on road. But whenever you're searching to buy a house, if you guys have ever gone online to look at Zillow, Trulia, or RE/MAX, Gold Bank, or any of those other websites, they don't really do it by roads. They do it by zip codes, they do it by school districts, they do it by municipalities. The really interesting thing about municipalities is they're really patched. Within Rockwood, you may have a municipality here, here, and here. And you're going to miss, if you search by municipalities here and here, you're going to miss all the great houses right here. So the best way to search for homes is by school district. Additionally,